Topic today live stream is, will Tyson Fury return and dominate the heavyweight division? You guys let me know. Will Tyson Fury return and dominate the heavyweight division? Yes or no? I want to hear from you guys. There's nobody in the chat room right now, so let me sort out these YouTube settings, and while a few people lock in, I can sort this out. All right, there's 3 people in the chat room now. Will Tyson Fury return to dominate the heavyweight division? That's the topic today. Let me know. Welcome, Mr. Solitude. What's up, Mr. Carpenter? TBE Rose. What's up? Jay's Boxing Universe. What's up, man? Shit. Sean Warfare. Big up. Definitely big up Devon Sinclair. Same Hussein. Shams, big up. Return but not to dominate. Hashim Hassan, what's up, man? MC Rhino 84, hopefully. Marek, what's up? Archie Bulls, yo hat man. Tyson Fury will return and dominate. Nathan Glover. Shaky Jake, filling up nicely. Got a few people in the chat now. That is the topic today. Will he return to dominate? And if so, why? If you don't think he'll return to dominate, tell me why you don't think he will. All right, let me just sort out these pesky YouTube settings here. Tom CFC says David Hay will clean up the division. I know you're being sarcastic. I know you're being sarcastic. David Hay ain't cleaning up no division, man. Smithy all the way says, yes, Hatman, yes, he will. All right, I'm going to give my 2 cents in a minute. I just want to hear from a few more of you guys. What do you think? The bad guy, what's up? Locked in. Big up. Lone Star says, I don't think he will return to dominate. Tremendous effort against Clit, but he was poor in most of his previous fights. You wonder if he was clean. All right, fair enough. What's up, Del Boy? Hay's been cleaned out by his ex. Maybe. Yo, what's up, Jonathan? Big up. Fury should have tried to take on AJ early in his career. The longer he leaves it, the stronger AJ will get. I think that could be the case. I know Malik Scott, when he was trying to fight AJ after the Dylan White fight, he did an interview after that. I think he was with Ellie Sekback, and he said people need to get AJ now while he's still vulnerable, because in a couple of years' time he'll be untouchable. So, you know, that's not me saying that. That's Malik Scott saying that. Anyway, let me sort out this pesky stream issue here. Where am I at? Should be able to do it a lot quicker today. Will Tyson Fury return to dominate the division? I think a lot of people want him to. That's one thing I can say. A lot of people want him to. A lot of people like Tyson Fury. He definitely has a cult following. That's what I can say. And I've made no secret of the fact that despite what some people claim, I actually do like Tyson Fury. I think he's good for the game. I think we need a guy like him in boxing. But I'm just trying to be objective here. And I personally, let me get into it in a second anyway. All right. Will Tyson Fury return and dominate? What's going on here? Move that. Yep. Okay, I think I'm good to go now. Yep. All right, there's a couple of people asking what game is this. This is Dead Nation. I think it's called Dead Nation. Mr. Blackman says, nah, he ain't returning. He pretty much hates the sport now. Dog 215 says when his money goes low, he'll return, and it depends. All right, a lot of people saying a lot of stuff here. Personally, here's my take on it. I think Tyson Fury will return. I don't see his ban, you know, if the British Border Boxing Control decide to ban him, I don't think they're going to ban him for a crazy amount of time. You know, a year, 2 years at the absolute most, depending on what takes place in this UCAD hearing. But if he does return, I don't think he'll dominate for 3 reasons. The first reason being, I think the level of competition that's around at the moment is too strong for Tyson Fury to be able to return and just beat everybody. I don't see it. Tyson Fury has shown plenty of vulnerabilities in his career. Yeah, the Klitschko fight aside, he's shown plenty of vulnerabilities. So I don't see him coming back and beating everybody. He might be able to beat a few guys, but everybody, no. So the first reason is because I think the competition is too strong. The second reason is because Tyson Fury is physically erratic. Yeah. His body weight is always fluctuating. You know, in between fights, he's blowing up like 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. And anybody who does that in between fights is not gonna be around too long at the top. You gotta live the life in boxing. You gotta love the Spartan lifestyle of a boxer. And Tyson Fury don't love it. So I can't see him coming back and reigning for a long time. You have to be a supremely conditioned athlete. You can't be going out on the booze on the weekend and stuff like that after the fights for weeks and weeks and eating loads of food and, you know, junk food and all that kind of stuff. You can't be doing all that. And this is not just because of any type of backlash Tyson Fury has got. That's not the reason why he was doing all that and blowing up in weight, because he was blowing up in weight early on in his career before there was any backlash from things that he might have said. So that's just in him to behave like that, you know, for whatever reason. So yeah, the first reason, I think the competition's too strong. Second reason, I don't think he has the physical, you know, discipline in terms of his keeping himself in shape. And the third reason is mentally, Tyson Fury is not the most stable guy. So to have longevity in the sport at the top, you have to be mentally stable. Jay Legend says Floyd Mayweather eats McDonald's. Well, he might eat McDonald's, but he don't blow up 20, 30 pounds in between fights. I mean, Tyson Fury is blowing up to what? Close to 300 pounds. I think sometimes over 300 pounds and then having to come down like 40, 50 pounds. You can't do that kind of thing and expect to be at the top for a long time in boxing. So, yeah, physically and mentally, he's too erratic for me to last a long time at the top. But, you know, we'll see. I just can't see it myself. I don't want to fire. Okay. Shit. Man, this gun is terrible that I got here. Mayweather is on PEDs. Okay. I'm not sure how Mayweather came into this conversation, but okay. If Fury didn't have 2 years out, you think there'd be a good chance of him dominating? You know, it's all opinions at the end of the day, but I can't see it. I can't see it. I think the competition too strong, and Fury has got vulnerabilities, just like all fighters have. And, you know, oh my gosh, look at this guy. It's like Brixton back in the days, man. Jeez. No, I'm taking all types of damage here. Need to sort out my controls. Mayweather is Jesus, yeah. Who remembers that video? Floyd is Jesus. Alright, I think I'm out of here. Who do you think has the better chance of beating Fury, Wilder or Joshua? I think actually Joshua. At this point, I think Joshua's got a better chance of beating Fury. Whoa. Oh my gosh. I do not like this weapon, you know. How do I run? Okay, that's how I run. I need to get a machine gun or something, man. Shoot nearby car. Okay. People will love Fury if he goes ham on it. To be honest with you, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but if I was in Fury's position, I wouldn't even want to go on I'm a Celebrity. You know, I know he's going on it, but personally, I wouldn't even bother going on those type of game shows and all that type of stuff. Trying to be mainstream, man, to hell with all that. What did I think of the Tepper upset? Well, I guess a lot of people are going to say that Tepper's not the same without the PEDs, you know? Because he obviously went right through David Price, but without the PEDs, he lost to Christian Hammer. It's not a good look. But what do you think about the Tepper upset? Let's see here, what's this? Can I afford any of this? Maybe not. I guess not. Eubank went on I'm a Celeb, but he's a fame-hungry man. Fury's a good guy. Hope he does get back. Inspiring guy. What do you think about David Haye ducking Briggs? You know, when it comes to David Haye, what can you really say that hasn't already been said? You know, people say I'm a David Haye hater, so I don't really want to harp on about him too much, but where is my machine gun, man? This fat zombie is like oh my gosh. Oh, I'm dead. See, Nanotech, what's up? What's up? Glad that you're locked in. I think the upset was hyped because he beat Glassjaw Price. Yeah, I guess you could say that, you know, but the way he was able to walk through David Price, I felt was fairly impressive. Walk through Price's punches, I mean, because Price hits hard. We know that Price is a big puncher. And the guy just walked straight. How the hell do I... Alright, there's a grenade. Oh. How the hell do I use my machine gun, man? Oh my gosh. Jeez, get out, oh, whoa. It really is like Brixton back in the days. It's like Shepherd's Bush Green back in the days. Oh my gosh, zombies everywhere. Can I get in here? Weapon shop. Tyson will never return, says Wayne Lovett. We'll see, I guess. Chase Boxing Universe says, yes, Hatman, what do you think of Izu? I've seen him a few times, but we need to see him against some decent opposition before we can really rate him. He's a big guy, obviously. He spars with Joseph Parker, which is a good thing. He's in great shape. He seems to have punching power, but we don't know what he's like when he gets hit back. We don't know if he's got any skills. We need to see him in there with somebody of a decent level. I mean, you look at AJ's fought better opposition than Izu, and AJ's opposition is not really generally regarded as being that great, so we'll see. You wonder what the odds on Price beating AJ will be. Yeah, I wonder what the odds will be. I'm kind of disappointed that fight didn't happen, to be honest with you. Out of Price or Molina, I'd rather see Price fight Joshua than Molina. Because at least Price has knocked Joshua out before. We know he can do it if he lands. Obviously, he has to worry about not getting caught himself, there's a very good chance that Joshua will land on him first and knock him out. But, you know, Spartacus the Great says Joshua versus Klitschko ain't happening. Russell Hartley said. Alright, guess he's talking to somebody else there. I think Joshua would steamroll Price. Yeah, maybe, maybe. Legend says Molina is a bum. We'll see, man. We'll see. As far as Molina, yeah. How do I equip this flipping gun, man? Right, not available. Weapon shop. Right, now the zombies are on that side. How do I actually equip this weapon? If anybody knows how to actually play this game. Where are we at? No, that's a flare. That's a charge. SMG. Okay, that's how you do it with the D. With the directional pad. Okay. That's better. Yeah. Let's go. Now I'm ready for the world. Let's go. Let me out, man. Let's look for some beef. Oh, that's much better. Whoa, 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 whoa. Get out of here. Oh my gosh, this is not looking good for me. I'm gonna die here. Jeez. Oh no, I'm dead. Order Kovalev, depends who wins. Who's the best at 147? I'd like to find out who's the best at 147. We don't know yet. Could be Kell Brook. This game is like way harder than it should be, man. Come on. Where am I supposed to go? How do you think Dylan White would fare against the top guys? I think he could be a problem for some of them, especially for the slower guys, I think. Oh shit. This shit is not gonna work out for me, is it, people? Oh, come on, man. Let me get out of here. I think somebody wants to join the block party. Who's this idiot here? Yeah. Join the block party, bro. Who else wants to join the block party? Alright, let me read some of these comments here so I don't get too engrossed in the game. Do more streams. I intend to. Are streams a regular thing? Boxer 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I hope to make them a regular thing. Boxing is so delayed now. Tyson Fury will return, I hope. It was good, Mr. Boxing today. I see you, bro. What's good? The topic today, for those who have just joined, is will Tyson Fury return to dominate the heavyweight division? Will that happen? Will he return and clean up? Stephen Stewart says, will Huey make it to the top? I'm not sure. Devon Sinclair says, what's going on with George Arias? I want to know too. He's been very inactive and he's signed to Bob Arum. And Bob Arum don't really seem to keep heavyweights active because he don't really have that many heavyweights. But I don't know, there could be a business situation behind the scenes that we don't know about. There could be injuries. I don't know what's going on with George Arias. I think he's got a lot of athletic potential, but he needs to be active because he's really not been fighting at all. Man, this game looks so simple, but it's like difficult. Can I negotiate my way through without getting into a fight with these zombies? Oh shit, get off me, man. Can I get through? I can. Alright, I'm through. Oh my gosh. Let me get in there. The safe zone. That's right. Alright, let's see some of these comments now. What do I think David Hayes' next opponent is? I really don't know. I really don't know. Arias interview coming up next week. Yes, that's what I like to hear. Hey, I'll definitely check that out. George Arias interview. Okay. Is Joseph Parker the future? Says Jay's Boxing Universe. I mean, it's all up in the air right now. Rashid, you little fool. I see you there, Rashid. What's going on? Fury in the jungle. What's going on here? Hatman, hell no, Tyson Fury ain't dominating shit. That's why I think as well. I can't see him dominating if he comes back. I think he might be able to beat a few guys, but to be at the top and to stay at the top in the sport of boxing, you have to have the physical discipline, the physical and mental discipline. You have to live the Spartan lifestyle of a boxer and stay in shape all the time. Tyson Fury hasn't been able to do that. So, you know. Yeah, Mr. Boxing Today, Rivas fight was supposed to happen, but he failed the eye test. I heard about that, yeah. I think that's why Rivas don't fight much in the US, isn't it? Because he can't get licensed to fight in certain states anyway. Alright, somebody else wants to join the block party. Let me put you on that block party right away. Andrade fight predictions, please. Yeah, let's have some Demetrius Andrade fight predictions. Who beat Vladimir Klitschko at the bad guy? Who? Yeah, he did. Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko. Great win. But it's only one win. There have been upsets throughout the history of boxing, and Tyson Fury now needs to go on and prove that he ain't just another Buster Douglas or Michael Spinks when he beat Larry Holmes. He needs to go on and prove that he is a top level, maybe even ATG. We'll see what he does. We'll see what happens. Yes, Rashid. Yes, yeah. When are you starting your channel, by the way, Rashid? You said you were gonna do videos, so make sure you let me know when your channel's up and running. Arnold the Cobra versus Mark the Mori. Who wins? I think Mark the Mori would win. Yeah, I think the Mori was actually better than Arnold the Cobra. At least the Mori took a few shots before he went down, and he took serious shots, the Mori. Whereas the Cobra took a little flicking jab when he was on the canvas. Andrade will beat Koke in 6. Alright, that's a prediction right there. Fury pulled a Riddick bow. Joshua ain't fighting Klitschko. Well, you know, it all remains to be seen. People can say this or say that. We'll find out who fights who. What's going on here? Boxing gossip. Yep. Hey, some dedicated trolls out here, man. Crazy. Dedication. I'm back. No more swearing. What's up, Activision? How you, bro? David Hayes scared of everyone. I don't know if David Hayes scared, man. David Hayes is a businessman before anything else. That's what he is. He cares about business before he actually cares about fighting. But if David Hayes was in a gym somewhere and the toughest heavyweight in the world stepped in the gym and said, "You want to spar?" I think David Hayes would spar him. I don't think David Hayes like literally scared of people. I think David Hayes always been kind of a guy that likes to live dangerously, a guy who likes to live on the edge. But as he's gotten older, he's caring, particularly as he stepped up to heavyweight. All he's thinking about is cashing in. That's all he's thinking about. I need to cash in, I need to cash in. And he just wants to make as much money as possible. And that is his main focus. His focus is definitely way more to do with money than anything else. So that's the issue with David Hay. I love your videos, Hack. Keep. Yeah. Moved off the screen there before I got to read that comment. But big up anyway. Big up. Is this you, Hatman? You sound different. Yeah, my voice is a little raspy. And also, I'm using a different microphone. So, it is a little different. There's a lot of trolls tonight, man. Saturday night. Some people just don't have nothing else to do other than troll. It is what it is. Eddie Hearn says if Tony Bellew beats David Hay, he could get a shot at Joshua. I have no doubt at all that Eddie Hearn would make, you know, Joshua against anybody. Joshua against the Mayor Khan if he thought he would sell. He's just that type of guy. Look at these zombies, man. Jeez. These zombies are actually, they're like boxing fans. Boxing fans are as vicious as these zombies, look. Say it again. I ain't no troll, Hat man. Sparkus the Great. Yeah, I wasn't referring to you. I was referring to somebody that I blocked. Yeah, trolls love YouTubers. They definitely do. They definitely do. You know, the internet made me realize when I started making YouTube videos, the internet made me realize how many sad people there are in this world, man. Like, there are some people who all they do day in, day out is go on the internet and troll people. You know, whether it's boxers or whether it's whoever it is, they will troll them on Twitter, call them names, send them inbox messages, you know, troll the comment section of their YouTube videos, calling them all types of names under the sun. It's like, wow, people have actually got time for this. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It is sad. It is sad. Do I even dare step out of this? Could any cruiserweights be a threat to the heavyweights? I think so. I do think so, actually. I think that I think Usyk, you know, I do disagree with Dwyer on a lot of things, but I think that Usyk could be a problem for a lot of heavyweights out there, particularly the slower heavyweights, because Usyk has got crazy movement and he can move like that for 12 rounds. You know, he might not be the biggest puncher at heavyweight, but the kind of movement he has, non-stop throwing punches, angles, I think Usyk could be a problem for some heavyweights out there. Yeah. Del Boy, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Do I know about Jack Koke? I don't know much about him, to be fair. I know that he's based in Germany. Jack Koke, I believe. I ain't seen him fight. I think I might have seen him fight once. So I don't really know that much about him, to be fair. But I do rate Demetrius Andrade. I've been saying for a long time that I think he's a very good fighter. And yeah, I definitely rate him. I need to go from here. Weapon shop. You want the weapon shop, man? Can I get some ammo, please? I've got about 5. Bigger clip. Get that. Yep. Grenade. Let me take a grenade. Couple of grenades. Nope, can't get. Alright, to hell with it. Let's go. Let's see. Do I play Dark Souls? Not really, no. Those games are just too tough for me, man. You see how bad I am at this game. Never mind Dark Souls, man. I ain't about that life, man. Oh my gosh, I got torn to pieces. You ever saw a Northern Irish boxer called Eamon Loughran? Yeah. I remember Eamon Loughran. I remember his fights, I think, on ITV. Eamon Loughran. Yeah, this situation here, people. Oh. Whoa. That's what I should have done in the first place. Just blow up those cans. Those canisters. That's right. Now hopefully I can get out of here. Okay. That's the general gist of things. That's better. Yeah. What time did I go to bed? Yesterday. Man, it was mad late. I can't even remember what time it was. Well, I guess it's different time in different parts of the world, but it was late. Trolls are normally sad fuckers with no mates, no job, and yeah, it's true. It's true, man. I just don't know where people find the time to just all day troll. I don't get it. It's crazy. They must have no job. I don't know what it is. Maybe they're God knows what, man. Tyson Fury is a little bitch, says somebody. Who is that said that? Tyson Fury is a troll. Yeah. I don't see Tyson Fury as a little bitch at all, man. I think Tyson Fury is a warrior. He's proved that in his career so far, so I don't see that. And let me get into some of these comments again. Do you think Joe Joyce could go far as a pro? Says Liverpool 2709. He's a bit old, Joe Joyce, now. He's like, what is he, 29, 30 years old already? So he's going to need to get a move on if he's going to do anything as a pro. I know heavyweights do tend to have a bit more longevity than people in the lower weight classes, so maybe he might have a chance, but he's definitely going to need to get a move on if he's going to go anywhere in the pros. And is Joe Joyce even that good? He's very, very basic. I think we can all agree on that. He's a very, very basic heavyweight, but he does have a good chin, and he's going to need it, being as basic as he is. I mean, who saw the Joe Joyce-Usyk fight? That was in the World Series Boxing, or World Boxing Series, whatever it's called. He got absolutely destroyed by Usyk. You know, it was horrible. How highly do I rate Lara? Says Drunken Master Pro 5000. I think he's good, but I think Lara has found his level, personally. I might be wrong, but that's just my personal view. I think Lara's found his level, and he's going to be an awkward fighter for most guys at 154 out there. But I don't think he's ever going to go on to be a pound for pound type guy or anything like that, Lara, in terms of all-time great. Nah. Lara is what he is. He's a runner. He's a spoiler. He's a slick boxer, but I think he's found his level right now. He's a fairly, I think, run-of-the-mill champion who is skilled, but can't really take it to that next level. Kind of like Joe Casamayor back in the day. You know, he was a very good fighter, but he couldn't take it to the next level. Whoever called Tyson Fury a bitch, I bet you wouldn't say that to his face. Hard man behind the keyboard. 100% agree, Scottish John. 100% agree. Sonny Blackhammer says, Hatman, do you think promoters get too much P and fighters not enough? Well, I don't know how much P the promoters are actually getting. That's the thing. I'm always in favor of fighters getting the bulk of the money, but I don't know how much money the actual promoters are getting themselves. They never release those figures. They just tell you how much the fighters are getting sometimes. So, C Pyro, Hartman, is this your first YouTube stream? No, it's not my first. It's my second stream on this channel. What do you think of Edward Travotsky? I haven't actually watched him fight, to be honest. But shout out to Jay's Boxing Universe. I've never seen that guy fight. Alberto Cruz, do you think boxing can recover in America? I think it's going to be very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Big up the Motto Channel UK. Yes, big up. Shaky Jake says Fury's not a bitch at all. Best thing to happen to the heavyweight division in years, possibly decades. I think that with Fury, as like with all fighters, they have their fans, diehard fans, that can go a little bit far. There's certain fans of every major fighter that go a bit far in terms of praising them before they've actually done anything to warrant that type of praise. So I think Fury has done a great thing so far in terms of beating Vladimir Klitschko. And I think he's been a breath of fresh air for the heavyweight division as far as being a character. But to say that he's the best thing to come along in years, I guess it depends how you judge it. But in terms of like, is he a great fighter and is he up there with the great heavyweights of all time? He certainly hasn't done enough yet in his career to warrant being spoken about in, along with the all-time greats. Not yet. He's got a lot more work to put in. So we'll see. Cruiserweight James Toney versus Cruiserweight David Haye. I would say David Haye. Demetrius Andrade is fighting in Germany next week. Yeah, he is. I'll definitely be looking in for that. Definitely like Andrade. Chisora is saying Dillian Whyte December 10th. Yeah, I saw Chisora's video. I think it was on Twitter. And he said that he signed this or signed that. So we have to see, man, because you know what it's like with these heavyweights these days. You think a fight is signed or you think a fight is going to happen and the next minute it's off. So we'll see. Hammond, do you know that Carl Frost knocked out George Groves in front of 80,000 fans? Well, I do know that, but do you know that it was at Wembley Stadium? I bet you didn't know that. Hammond, what are your thoughts on James Toney's career? James Toney had a tremendous career. When you think about it, I'm talking about somebody in Tyson Fury who I don't think will return to dominate the heavyweight division, partly because of the fact that he don't have the discipline to stay in shape. Now, James Toney is a perfect example of somebody that didn't stay in shape. And after he lost to Roy Jones Jr., he was in the boxing wilderness for a long time. He ended up losing to Montel Griffin, and I think he fought a guy called Drake Fardsey. Yeah, Drake Fardsey. And he had a few other difficult fights where he didn't look good, and he was coming into fights, grossly overweight and what have you. And he really looked like he was just drifting off into obscurity until he fought that Eastern European guy at cruiserweight whose name escapes me, the guy that he stopped, Jirov. Vasily Jirov, yeah, he fought Jirov. And that really brought James Toney back because he was in the wilderness at that point. And when he beat Jirov, that brought him back. And he had like an Indian summer in his career, or a late resurgence. So yeah, he had big up Joe Reese, loving these live shows. Thank you for locking in and watching, bro. So yeah, I think Toney had a good career, but it could have been so much better if it weren't for the fact that he was so ill-disciplined. The guy just loved the bakery. That's what I read somewhere actually, that he grew up next to a bakery. And he was always in the bakery stuffing his face with pastries. Crazy. Toney fight of the year that year. Yeah, I remember the Giro fight was a great fight. Great fight. You want to see Errol Spence versus Crawford. Well, Crawford's going to have to move up. Going to have to move up for that. Who else is here? You're going to stream the Joshua fight in HD for free. I think most of us are. Most of us are going to stream it for free. Devon Sinclair says, what top heavyweights today do you think Corey Sanders would have beaten? That's a good question. Corey Sanders was an underachiever, I think. He was somebody that could have done a lot better than he did, but he had different interests. Corey Sanders used to like to play golf. He used to also like to play rugby, and he also had a farm in South Africa where he would spend a lot of his time doing hunting and stuff like that. Not even a farm, it was like a big area, a reserve or whatever, where tourists would come to, hunt animals and stuff like that. So he had a lot of interest outside of boxing. Who could he have beaten today? I'd definitely take Corey Sanders over Dillian Whyte. Yeah, at least this version of Dillian Whyte. I know Corey Sanders lost to Hasim Rahman, and stylistically, if you look at Rahman, there's quite a lot of similarities between Rahman and Dillian Whyte. Even their body type is quite similar, Rahman and Whyte. So, Rahman was able to get it done, and I would probably say that Dillian Whyte might have a better chin than Rahman. I don't know. Rahman's chin wasn't terrible, but he did get KO'd a few times, and he did get shaken up a few times in fights. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I probably pick Corey Sanders over Dillian Whyte. I'll pick Corey Sanders over quite a few guys. If you're talking about the prime Corey, yeah. Might even pick him over AJ at this stage after 17 fights. Although, nah, I'd probably say AJ might have a slight edge. But, I mean, then again, Klitschko was supposed to have an edge over Corey Sanders when they fought. All the signs were pointing to a Klitschko victory. He had the youth, he had the conditioning, he had all kind of stuff. But Corey Sanders rocked him to sleep. He lulled him into a full sense of security and landed that big left hand and took him out. And that was an out of shape 38-year-old Corey Sanders. So, yeah. Delboy 94. Hatman, what do you think? Hang on, Hatman, do you think it's a coincidence that Crawford has not been matched with punches, or is there more to it? How many punches are there at 150? Oh, sorry, 140. You've got Matisse. Is Matisse even at 140 anymore? You've got Provodnikov. I think it might just be circumstances, but there is definitely rumors going around that Crawford's chin is not the greatest. I think Freddie Roach, was it Freddie Roach that's been saying that? And a couple of other people, because people are kind of alluding to this street fight that Crawford supposedly had with Gary Russell Jr. back in the days when they were both amateurs. And apparently Gary Russell Jr. had Crawford out on his feet in the street fight. And you know how small Gary Russell Jr. is compared to Crawford. So, yeah, a lot of people were talking about that. The bad guy says, Hatman, what do you think about Gerald Washington? I think Gerald Washington is very negative. It's like he wants to be the new Vladimir Klitschko, but even more negative than that. He's very athletically gifted, though. Very athletically gifted. He's a big guy, strong, but I don't know, man. He might be able to make it awkward for some of the top guys, possibly, but offensively, he's just not doing enough. To me, Gerald Washington is almost like the new Jamil McCline, the way that he's looking at the moment. Because Jamil McCline was a guy like that, a big, strong, athletic guy, powerful, who didn't really have the killer instinct. And it's like Washington might be like that. Man, is Joseph Parker the fastest heavyweight in years? He's definitely one of them. In terms of combination punching, he's very fast. Very fast. Because David Haye is fast with single shots or 1-2s, but he don't really put his shots together in fast combinations. 4, 5, 6 shots. Whereas Joseph Parker does. When he lets his hands go, it's blistering speed, blurring speed. The only guy out there that really has that type of combination punching speed is maybe Andy Ruiz, who is pretty fast as well with his hands. Yeah. Has boxing lost its power to change society like it did in the 70s in the US? Yes, definitely. I think celebrity in general has lost its power to change society. Public figures are much more controlled now than they were back then. So yeah, back then there was really mavericks that were celebrities and sportsmen and musicians who were coming out and starting political movements that were changing things rapidly. You can't really do that now. They won't allow you to have a public platform if you're gonna go up there and try and change society. So yeah, I don't see anybody coming along in boxing and being able to change society like they did back in the days, in the 70s. Let me see some of these other comments now, man. They're coming in very, very fast. It will be a good fight. I think AJ wins, but it will be a 12-round fight. Could be. Could be, man. Best two trainers in boxing. Um, I'm not sure. What do you reckon, Liam Reynolds? Best two trainers in boxing right now? I mean, it changes from week to week because as soon as some trainer's fighter loses, he goes from being rated the best trainer to being rated, a hype job trainer. So it depends. Abel Sanchez and Roach. I think Abel Sanchez is the new Freddie Roach. That's what I think. I think Sanchez is the new Roach. He's very vocal. He's cocky. He's like the new Roach. Roach is kind of taking a back seat a little bit. So, yeah. Ruben Guerrero. Yeah. Ruben Guerrero is funny. I could say that. Murat Gassiev versus Usyk. Who wins? I would say Usyk. But I do like Gassiev though. Definitely somebody that I'm keeping an eye on. Hey man, you should do more live shows. It's on fire, fam. Oh, big up. Sonny Blackhammer. I see you, fam. The best trainer in the world is Don Charles. I think not even Don Charles would agree with that. Yeah. Do I remember Ozzy? Yeah, I remember Ozzy. The guy that got knocked out in like a round after doing that Prince Nassim type entrance. Yeah, I remember him. How come Bernard Hopkins never fought with James Toney? Who do I think would have won? Well, according to James Toney, Hopkins was ducking him for many years. Yeah, that's what he was saying. So, who do you want to believe? And who do I think would have won? I think Hopkins would have won. I think Hopkins would have won because Hopkins can use movement. The one thing about James Toney that he never really had was particularly quick feet. And Hopkins uses footwork very well to offset you and, come in with awkward shots here and there. So I would say, I mean, who knows? We'll never know. Maybe Tony would have won. But if I had to pick, I would say Hopkins maybe on points. Gassiev is a nasty puncher. Yeah, he is. Gassiev is a crazy puncher. There's so many big punches at cruiserweight. That's why I like the division so much, because there's so many big punches in that division. So many big punches. Pieface 169, favorite boxer of all time. I don't really have one favorite. There's too many boxers that I like to even pick one. So that's all I can say. There's a whole heap of them. I did a video actually recently about some of my favorite fighters of all time. It's on my channel. Eubank Jr. wins the rematch. Defo first fight close. Says Dragoon 5. Um, hmm. I don't know, man. Billy Joe Saunders can box. That's one thing I can tell you. That boy's got skills and he's slick. Billy Joe Saunders can box. I'm guessing you was a half decent amateur and you know your game. Did you turn pro? No, I never turned pro. I actually had or still have a slightly short sightedness. So I would have had to have uh laser eye surgery in order to get a license to turn professional in the UK. And I was always a bit funny about having laser eye surgery. Yeah, I always thought, knowing my luck, it will be me that goes blind. They'll botch the job. So I know there's plenty of people that have laser eye surgery and it's fine, but I don't know. I just didn't like the idea of somebody cutting my eye open, because they have to cut your eye in it when they do laser eye surgery, and they put a lens inside your eye for like a few days or whatever it is. I never liked the idea of that. Jay Legend says, is Eubank really injured? I don't think so. I don't think he's injured. I think he might have like a niggling elbow situation, but I don't think that's the reason he pulled out of the fight. I think he pulled out of the fight because he don't want to work with Frank Warren, or his dad don't want to work with Frank Warren, and they put Eubank's estranged son on the undercard of that fight. They probably were going to put him in the same dressing room. Yeah, Nathaniel Wilson, the guy's called. So they were going to probably put him in the same dressing room and try and make it as awkward for Eubank as possible, because he was going to fight Tommy Langford as Frank Warren's fighter. So I think they were trying to make it as uncomfortable for him as possible. And Eubank said, you know what, I'm out of here. Let's pull a fast one, man. Any type of injury. Yeah. Laser is just a laser. They cut that eye and put a lens to stop cataract. No, it's not true. I know somebody personally that's had laser eye surgery recently, and they put a lens. They cut your eye and they put a lens inside for a few days, yeah, to readjust your eye, so it refocuses it or whatever. And then they take the lens out. Yeah, they do that. So they do the laser surgery first, and then they put a lens in. I think that's how it works. And then they take the lens out. Yeah. I just never liked the idea of anybody cutting my eye open and mad. What happened to talking about Tyson Fury? Well, I guess people have said all they want to say about Fury. But for those who haven't so far, will Tyson Fury come back to dominate the heavyweight division? That is the topic of this live stream. Will he come back to dominate the heavyweight division? Yes or no? If yes, why? If no, also tell me why. Will he come back to dominate? Tom Buddy says, a go-go getting a mouthful of Spike's Mankini. Yeah. I really would have liked to see that Spike O'Sullivan and go-go fight. It's a shame it didn't take place. That would have been funny, man. Because Spike is aggressive in the ring. It would have been like the fight the other night where a go-go lost. It would have been a lot more dramatic than that, I think. So, yeah, I would have definitely liked to see it. Ogogo is done. He might be. I haven't really seen where the talent is with Ogogo. So, Smithy says, Hatman, don't you agree Fury has the ability to comfortably beat anyone on points? No, I actually don't. I actually don't. I think he can beat some people on points, but if you think that everybody's just going to stand back like Vladimir Klitschko and not throw any punches, I just don't think that's realistic. Yeah, Klitschko is a cautious person by nature. So he's not used to being in a position where somebody has got him controlled behind the jab and he has to be the one to initiate the action. He's not used to that. And that's why he didn't throw any punches. But these young heavyweights like Parker, Joshua, all these kind of guys, even an Andy Ruiz, they're not just going to stand around like Klitschko and throw no punches. They're not going to do that. They're going to throw shots. Yeah, and when you throw shots, you increase your chances of landing shots. Fury is not the Pernell Whitaker / Floyd Mayweather of the heavyweight division. I don't see him as that at all. I think if you increase your punch output, you will land on Tyson Fury. I mean, even Vladimir Klitschko in the 12th round, when he started letting his hands go, he started landing on Fury. So I don't think Fury's defense is this crazy Rubik's Cube, impregnable fortress that some people are making it out to be. I don't see it. Is Danny Williams still fighting? Sadly, he is. Yeah, he's still fighting. That is sad. Tyrone Nurse or O'Hara Davis. That's a good fight, really. That is a good fight. I don't know how good O'Hara Davis is yet, but I definitely like to see it. I definitely like to see it. You forgot that Fury can change his style. No, I didn't forget that Fury can change his style. I just think that there are other guys out there that have things that could trouble Fury and they could land their shots, and Fury's not infallible by any means, man. He's been on the floor a couple of times in his career. What if he gets hit by a big bomb from Joseph Parker or Joshua or Wilder? What's going to happen then? If guys like Cunningham and Nevin Pikic are dropping him. Yeah, and obviously landing the shot is difficult against Tyson Fury if he's in a defensive posture. And you also have to worry about what's coming back from him. Tyson Fury is not a monster puncher, but his punches certainly don't tickle. So I'm not making it out to be as easy as just going in there, cracking him on the chin, and then you win the fight. No. But still, he has vulnerability, Tyson Fury. So that's one thing that some people seem to be overlooking. He can be knocked out himself. And these young heavyweights, a lot of them are hitting very hard. So that is what that is. Yeah, Tyson Fury might love a scrap, but there are certain guys that can scrap with him on the inside a hell of a lot better than Vladimir Klitschko. I can tell you that. There's some fighters out there who will be a problem for Tyson Fury on the inside when they start trading with him and landing. Klitschko is very, very awkward on the inside. He don't really know how to handle himself there in an all-out war. So you think Parker is Fury's toughest opponent stylistically? He could be. He could be. I've always said, yeah, for quite a long time, that I don't think this era of heavyweight boxing is going to be dominated by any one fighter. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think everybody is going to be beating each other, and there might be a couple of trilogies. It's going to be a round robin type situation. I don't see any one heavyweight standing out and dominating everybody. I don't see that. The question is, will Fury come back? And I'm pretty sure he won't. Well, maybe he won't. We'll see. I really want to see what happens with this UCAD ban. This UCAD and British Border Boxing Control situation, if they ban him or not. I want to find out what's going to go on. Bradley versus Khan. That's a good fight, actually. That should have happened a while ago, but Bradley, during that time, didn't want the fight when they were both 140 pounds. But right now, yeah, that's a decent fight. Why doesn't Tyson Fury just bulk up and lose all the fat? If he bulks up, he will gain tons of power and maybe hit as hard as Mike Tyson. I wouldn't say it's as simple as that, bro. And a lot of it is down to genetics. Some people find it easy to lose all the fat and gain muscle. Other people don't find it very easy. So it's just down to genetics, man. Do I remember the Emmanuel Char cartwheel? Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think that was after he beat, what's that guy called? The German guy that he beat, that Danny Williams fought as well. Konstantin Erich. Yeah, that's when he did a cartwheel. I remember that was crazy. That was one of the strangest things I ever saw. I think it was that fight. Uh, Fury is big enough. Yeah, I think he's big enough. Jarrell Miller claims to break Anthony Joshua's jaw. I like Jarrell Miller. I think he talks a lot of smack, and I think he's entertaining with it. I like him. Furman versus Garcia. Listen to my preview. Can't see how Swift beats One Time. Me neither. I think One Time has got that fight. Probably on points. Billy Joe versus Triple G. Who wins? I think Triple G wins. Dwayne Bradford says muscles make you lack stamina. I think it depends on whether the muscles are natural or if they're inflated. Because if you've got a naturally muscular physique like some people do, your heart and lungs have been designed genetically to be able to maintain and carry all that muscle. But if you're somebody that's not naturally that muscular and you pump yourself up with loads of weights and protein shakes, then that's when the muscle can affect your stamina. Like Frank Bruno. Frank Bruno was a naturally slim guy. Not a lot of people know this. And I'll sound like Michael Caine when I say that, but not a lot of people know that Frank Bruno was actually naturally slim, but he would do an absolute shitload of weights constantly, all the time. Frank Bruno would just never stop pumping weights. And his body mass just grew and grew and grew. When Frank Bruno first turned professional, I think he was about 220 pounds or something like that, 218. And by the time he fought Tyson for the second time, he was nearly 250 pounds of solid muscle. There's no way you can pump up all that muscle and it not affect your stamina. So yeah, Lomachenko beats Walter's unbeaten record. I reckon so. I think Lomachenko will win that fight. Angel Garcia's press conferences are jokes. I agree. I agree. Yeah, big up Kieran. Bit of time to. Bruno was overrated. I mean, was he? Depends what you mean by overrated. Overrated by who? Who rated Bruno higher than he should have been rated? I think Bruno was like a popular fighter in the UK, but I don't think anybody really thought Bruno was particularly great. So I wouldn't say he was overrated. I would say he was rated probably about what he was. He was actually no. Tell the truth. Let me take that back. I would say today Bruno might be a little bit overrated because there are some British boxing fans who kind of look back. Joe Public kind of look back at the old times and say, "Oh, if Frank Bruno was around today, he'd be world champion and he'll be able to bash up all these guys." So yeah, I think some people today overrate Bruno, but at the time, I don't think Bruno was overrated. I think he was rated as he should have been rated. Do I box? Not anymore. I used to box. Cryptic Gamers, shout out. Appreciate the kind words, Bruce Anderson. Thank you. How many rounds would I have lasted with Herbie Hyde? I don't know, man. Herbie was vicious. Herbie was definitely vicious. But he also had a very weak chin. That's what I can tell you about Herbie Hyde. There was one time when he sparred Danny Williams, and Williams knocked him out with a jab in sparring, yeah? But to be fair, usually when Danny Williams used to go up there to Norwich to spar Herbie Hyde, uh, Herbie used to give him the business. Like everybody knew that. Danny didn't used to like going up there because Herbie would always give him the business in sparring. But one time they went up there to spar and Danny just hit him with a jab and knocked Herbie out. Yeah, he had a weak chin. Herbie had very weak, but he was dangerous and vicious. All right, let me see some of these things here now. John Fury talks some utter shit. Henry Akinwande banged him. Yeah, Henry Akinwande did knock him out. I've always been looking for the video of that fight because I've never seen the fight itself. Did Tyson pump weights like a bodybuilder? How come his biceps were so big? Well, Tyson was naturally very muscular. I've seen people like Tyson in real life, bigger than him actually. Natural, with big muscular physiques like that, like a bull. Some people are like that naturally. But Tyson didn't do a lot of weightlifting, no. He was just naturally a bulky, stocky guy. There is some talk that he was maybe on steroids because you can train on steroids. You don't necessarily have to do weights on steroids. You could just do normal boxing training, like a ridiculous amount of push-ups and hit the bag and all that kind of stuff, and you'll get benefit. You'll be able to train harder, recovery will be quicker, etc., etc. So there is some rumors that Tyson was on steroids at some point in his career, but I don't think it was really to try and gain bulk if he was. I think it was more to just train intensely because Tyson used to do some of the most ridiculous training routines you've ever seen. Like just crazy stuff. If you look up online, Tyson's training regime, it was madness. A doctor wouldn't even recommend an athlete to do that kind of training regime because it was too damn punishing. And you do wonder where the hell somebody would get the energy to be able to do all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Mike Tyson has admitted to using steroids. They were all on the old nandrolone to hit like trucks. I've never heard Mike Tyson admit using steroids. I've never heard him say that. I've heard him admit using coke. I've heard him admit using, all types of other drugs, but I've never heard him admit using steroids. Right, Wills, do you think Prime Vitali would be as dominant as he was back in the day? What do you mean Prime Vitali now? I don't think Prime Vitali now would be as dominant as he was back in the day because the competition I think is better. I'm not saying that he wouldn't be able to beat everybody now, but I don't think it would be as easy for him if he did beat everybody now. I don't think it would be easy like beating people like Kirk Johnson and all those kind of guys. Anthony Yard will be amazing. Yeah, I'm keeping my eye on Anthony Yard. He looks very promising. He is a prodigy, Anthony Yard, a precocious talent. Yeah, because Yard had very few amateur fights. And for somebody with so few amateur fights, he looks extremely polished. Like, how can somebody with so little experience be that polished? Some people just pick up the sport of boxing way quicker than everybody else. And then the Yard appears to be that kind of person. He's just picked it up incredibly quick. Adam says, how good was McClellan, Hatman, and how good could he have become? Uh, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think if he would have stayed with Manny Stewart, I think he could have gone on to be an all-time great. I think if he'd stayed with Stewart. Obviously, fighting Nigel Benn was a big mistake in hindsight. But yeah, if he stayed with Manny Stewart, I think he could have gone on to be an all-time great. And we would have got to see the rematch with Roy Jones because he beat Roy Jones in the amateurs. And that's what they were trying to set up. McClellan against Roy Jones in the pros. And if he would have beaten Roy Jones, then wow, that probably would have solidified his legacy right there. Because at the time, Roy Jones was seen as Superman. He was seen as untouchable. So to beat Roy, that would have been a big deal. Have I ever been to Wolverhampton? I actually have been to Wolverhampton. Like maybe once or twice in my life. Yeah. Big up Wolverhampton gang. What are my thoughts on Frank Warren being shot? Well, Frank Warren being shot. What can I say? He pissed a lot of people off, and certain people weren't gonna take it. And I'm sure most of you probably know, if you're over a certain age, most of you know who the culprit or the chief suspect was in Frank Warren's shooting. And Frank Warren himself knows who shot him. He said that publicly. He said, I know who shot me. But growing up where I grew up, I don't want to be a grass. So I never told the police who shot me. Yeah, that's what Frank Warren said. That he didn't want to grass. So he checked himself out of hospital after a couple of days as well, Frank Warren. Look, Frank Warren is a cunt of the highest order. I can tell you that. But the man is a fighter. When I'm talking about his spirit, Frank Warren is a fighter through and through. Yeah. He is not somebody that will back down from damn near anybody. Man checked himself out of hospital after 2 days or whatever it was, after being shot and nearly killed. Then he was straight back to work. So yeah, that's how Frank Warren is. Frank Warren is a gangster in a suit. I don't know about gangster, but Hatman, do you know amateur boxer? Yeah, I know Sparks. Yeah, Sparks. R.I.P. Sparks. That was a sad story. What are your thoughts on the 6-7 gang in Croydon? I don't know, man. Did you ask me this about? Were you the person that asked me about 6-7 yesterday as well? I'm not sure. What do you think about the 6-7 gang in Croydon? I don't really know much about them. I'm too old to really know about all these young gangs, 6-7, and all these guys. They're all young people. Do I know about the natural ability of Kirtland Lang? Yes, of course. Kirtland Lang, the legend. The legend, Kirtland Lang. 6-7 of Brixton Hill. Yeah, that's what I heard as well. I never knew they were in Croydon, but what do I know about these young gangs these days? Papa Bear, yes, big up Papa Bear as well. Yard's last opponent was a Sainsbury's employee. Yeah, Yard is gonna have to definitely up his game. That's for sure. I'm struggling to read all these comments, so please bear with me if I'm missing people's comments here. Yeah, big up Moji, man. Big up. Supermalt Brixton. Frank Warren got a dent on his forehead. He does have a dent on his forehead. Povetkin beats Ortiz. He'll expose Ortiz's stamina. Well, Povetkin ain't fighting Ortiz, though, is he? Povetkin's fighting Berman Stavern. So we'll see how that goes. I expect Stavern to win, but I think it's a good fight. Oh, man, not this guy talking about weird stuff again from yesterday. Leave it out, fam. Have I ever been knocked out? No, I've never been knocked out. I never even got dropped. I'm not trying to say I'm Ray Mercer here, but you know, I never really fought at a particularly high level, to be fair. So, you know, it is what it is. There's a lot of guys who have never been dropped in boxing, but they never fought anybody that good. So, I'm not trying to say it's an amazing achievement. Any truth in Eubank losing his killer instinct after Watson? Yeah, he did. That was very, very apparent. Very apparent. He definitely lost his killer instinct after Watson. That was a traumatic experience, obviously for Watson and his family, but for Eubank as well. Some people are not affected by things like that. Like Sugar Ray Robinson killed somebody in the ring, and he never lost any killer instinct at all. Sugar Ray Robinson, he was just totally cold. There was nothing, no. I don't want to say there was no remorse, but it certainly didn't affect his killer instinct after that. And the same with Kovalev. Kovalev has killed a man, but it hasn't affected him. Some guys are just cold and mean, and those kind of things don't affect them at all. Robinson did for a while. Well, he still knocked plenty of people out after he killed the guy. So Perth, Australia, Hud Johns. Wow, locked in from Perth, 6 a.m. Yes, Chris Moore, big up. Who's a bigger cunt, Hearn or Warren? Personally, I think Warren. But that's just me, because I've been following Warren for many, many years. Many years. And maybe it's going to take some time for me to build up the same type of disdain for Eddie Hearn that I have for Frank Warren. So we'll see. But right now, I'd have to say Frank Warren. Frank Warren, definitely. Do I think I could beat Robin Deacon? I hope so. Robin Deacon is the guy with like 50 losses in it, and he's only won one fight or something like that. So yeah, I would hope so. I would hope most people in this chat right now could beat Robin Deacon. Let's be real. Let's be real. My amateur record. My amateur record, I don't even know exactly off by heart, but it was something like, I want to say 36 and 5, something like that. Warren's son seemed very different. Do you think Frank Warren is ashamed of him? I just don't think that Frank Warren has sons that are as adept at promoting as Eddie Hearn. I think he wishes somewhere in his, the back of his mind that he had a son like Eddie Hearn that had that type of charisma and natural salesman ability. You know, why do I hate Warren so much? Um, hate is a strong word, but I would say that Warren, he's done too much. He's fucked over too many fighters over the years. That's what I'll say. Yeah, I don't like the way he treats fighters over the years. Not good. What weight was I at? I was a super heavyweight. Yes, big up. LFC 91. Big up. Biggest waste of talent in boxing. Man, I don't, right now, I'm not even sure. Maybe Tyson Fury might be the biggest waste of talent in boxing at the moment. But if you're talking about all time, there have been so many. Ike Ibeabuchi was a big waste of talent. He had a very, very promising career ahead of him, Ibeabuchi, but he went off the rails in a major way. In a major way. Who chats more shit? Khan or Hay? I would say Hay chats more shit in terms of just saying stuff that's not true. Yeah, but Khan says a lot of stuff, you know. Nassim Hamid was a waste of talent, maybe, to some extent. Big Baby Miller has dared all the other heavyweights to call his name. Why does it seem no heavyweight has the nerve, audacity, or courage to call him out? Good question. I do like Jerome Miller, man. I'd like to interview that guy, actually. He seems like fun. Did I follow Takalu's career? Yes, I did follow Takalu's career. And the whole rivalry that he had with Wayne Alexander. He was bragging for years that he knocked Alexander out in sparring. For years, saying, I knocked him out and this, that, and the other. And then obviously they fought as pros and Alexander knocked him out. Yeah, I remember that. Brutal knockout. Calzaghe versus Froch, who wins? I've always felt Calzaghe would win. But that's going to start a whole next debate. Yeah, that will start a whole next debate. Anyway, I'm going to call this live stream to an end right now. I might be back on later, but I got a couple of things to take care of. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. And yeah, I might catch you in a couple of hours. If not, then maybe tomorrow night. So thanks for everyone for tuning in. I'm signing out.